Hello everyone and welcome back to the Lee Westwood Sports Centre, where you join myself, Ryan Sipple, and my co-commentator Greg Baxter for the Championship Playoff, which will be contested between Nottingham Forest and GBG Saracens, scheduled for an 11 o'clock kickoff, so 3 minutes away. Hopefully we keep to time. Greg, how are you?
Morning, Ryan. Morning, everyone. Yeah, I'm right, thank you. Looking forward to another couple of games of good power chair football to decide who makes up our two divisions next season.
Yeah, let's go through the squads quickly and then I'll talk about the context of this fixture, the one scheduled for 12:30, and how each of the teams got their places there. So Nottingham Forest, the championship team, that finished bottom of the 23-24 campaign, are comprised of number 11, Gary Meakin, number 12, Aston Walls, number 13, Jack Bosson-Quet, number 15, Toby Maurice, number 18, Riley Priestley, number 23, Luke Millington, number 24, Finley Cooper, number 26, Ben Rogers, and just off of screen you won't see, number 28, Lucas Troy Wilkinson Dunstan. A very strong team, certainly with regards to numbers. Quite the opposite for their competitors. GBG Saracens hoping to earn a place in the 24-25 championship. They are comprised of Oscar Smedley, Avery Bazin-Bull, Connor Boswell and Michael Lediot. So prior to this game kicking off, each of the four GBG Saracens players were classified, and sadly for them, 3 of their 4 competing players were classified as a PF2. So within the National League regulations for power chair football, you can only field 2 PF2s at any one, a maximum of 2 PF2s. So they will be competing with 3 players in this championship playoff. Give me your thoughts on that, Greg.
It's a shame, not only for the game, but I think for the players as well. You know, this is their biggest game of their careers so far, and unfortunately, due to classification issues, one of them is going to have to sit out. They'll obviously have to rotate the PF2s, make sure that everyone gets enough game time. They'll have travelled a long way, either got up early this morning or sorted a hotel room for last night. It obviously puts them on a back foot as well, playing with 3 players straight away. Fingers crossed they can still make a very good game out of it.
I think as commentators and 2 individuals watching it from the neutral, all we can hope for is it to be a competitive fixture. So, yeah, as you said, hopefully that obstacle isn't too much of an issue. They would have, of course, have strong aspirations of being present in the 24-25 championship. So just how it works, whoever finishes bottom of the championship is automatically placed in the playoff situation, and it's all kind of dictated on by how many teams within our varied regional leagues submit an expression of interest to become a National League team. This year, only GBG Saracens put their name forward for consideration. So the bottom team in the 23-24 championship will play a single team that put their name forward. So that's what gives us this fixture. Scheduled for 12:30, we have what promises to be a really good game. The Premiership playoff between Nomad Knights, who finished 10th in the Premiership, against Norwich City, who finished 3rd in the Championship.
Just a bit of a delay while we wait for speed test. Definitely not going to start at the 11 o'clock time. Nottingham Forest going to do what it will be an extensive warm-up, given GBG Saracens are still to be speed tested. There is a bit of a crowd gathering.
Yeah, that's what competing across one court. So typically our National League games, you'll have 2 games played at any one time. Only utilising one court gives us the option, firstly, to remove the central barrier and reservation between the 2 courts and allow spectators to watch from court A. It just opens it up. I will apologise if I just take the match graphics off about the lighting situation here at the Lee Westwood Sports Centre. Since game week 5 taking place just over a month ago, they've done many alterations and renovations here in Nottingham, and the far side of the court, as you can see, appears significantly darker than the foreground, and that's because they're halfway through integrating and implementing some new LED lighting systems. So we do apologise if that affects the viewing experience. Hopefully it doesn't affect the football. First time I've properly spoken to you since the FA Disability Cup final, Greg, where you were an esteemed commentator on TNT Sports. Talk to me about that experience.
Oh, it was brilliant. I mean, I was very nervous beforehand, but once I got the first line out of the way, I eased into it. You know, proper old school, having the John Motson lip mics, not like these headsets we have here. But it was brilliant to be able to just bring some extra knowledge and specific insight to the coverage that TNT Sport do, because obviously we love having our sport on national television, on TNT Sport. It's great that we can showcase how amazing it is, and just so I could be there to help explain things for viewers who may be watching it for the first time was a privilege, to be honest, and I'm glad that the feedback I've received since has been overwhelmingly positive.
Well, as one person, I thought your commentary was absolutely excellent, and what you just alluded to, explaining power chair football whilst the TNT in-house commentators are incredibly competent, professional, and they do their research. Knowing the intricacies of power chair football is really important for understanding it, certainly if you're viewing the sport for the first time, or if you're involved within the sport day in, day out. Knowing, providing that power chair football expertise and knowledge, little things like explaining the 2-on-1 rule, the 3 in the box, some things that haven't necessarily been done in the past across their broadcast, really added to the quality. And certainly for the power chair football community in England, it's always nice to hear a familiar voice, someone that they can link to, that they can resonate with. And no, it's a fantastic achievement, and ultimately it's kind of what you want to be doing going forward, isn't it? So not a bad thing to put on the CV.
No, absolutely not. I've watched it back at least once or twice. And I think, look, going forwards, I think for the other 5 Disability Cup finals,
I think you've led the way, haven't you? You've showed them what it needs to just have that balance of professionalism and expertise. They will, of course, always have their in-house commentators because they have a responsibility to sponsors and the broadcasters, and they need to ensure that that consistency is there. But if they can pair that with expertise in each of the 6 disciplines, being blind, partially sighted, cerebral palsy, amputee, and power chair. Which one am I missing?
Deaf, aren't you?
Deaf final,
deaf final,
of course.
Yeah. I was testing your knowledge there. I was watching your brain.
Yeah, it was rolling off the tongue.
Your brain was working overtime. But yeah, I think they need to, seriously, I think at least consider going forward having one for each of the disciplines, because, like I said, the positive feedback I've had so far would sort of reaffirm that it's definitely needed.
I agree. So we do apologise for the slight delay. We were scheduled for an 11 o'clock kickoff. Judging by the lack of movement around the Lee Westwood Sports Centre, it's probably not imminent within the next couple of minutes. Nottingham Forest just in front, as you can see, coached by Anthony Nweke, just going through their final instructions. If you're just tuning in now for the first time, we were just talking about the fact that all four of the travelling GBG Saracens players, Oscar Smedley, Avery Basin-Ball, Connor Boswell and Michael Lediot, were classified for competition this morning. Unfortunately for them, 3 of their players were classified as a PF2, and with the National League rules and regulations stating that only a maximum of 2 PF2s can compete on the court for one team at any one time, it will result in them having only 3 players for this crucial playoff game. As Greg spoke about, without question the biggest game in the club's history. They're only a recently formed club. I know they're developing really well in the kind of the Southwest Gloucestershire leagues. They've got some young talented players, but to have that player deficit will certainly stack the odds up against them.
I must admit, the new lighting is giving it the impression of a nighttime game. It's 11 o'clock in the morning, but this new, I'm kind of getting the feel like we know we're under the lights. You know, can they do it on a cold, rainy night in Stoke on a Wednesday night? It's now can you do it on a bright under the lights in Nottingham Trent University?
The thing is, the lights in which we're sitting under are really nice, bright LED lights. And going forward, certainly for next season, for the 24-25 Premiership and Championship, it should be really good lighting consistently across the Lee Westwood Sports Centre. It's just a little bit misfortunate that they've only managed to do 1/4 of the hall so far. As you can see, they're doing many renovations and repairs all around the perimeter. There's new paint, filler.
I was shocked this morning. I turned up, and how many years I've been coming here now? What? 12, 13 years. They've taken the carpet out in the corridor. It's now hard flooring.
It's now laminate.
Now laminate, you know. It's they're really working overtime to give it a bit of TLC. Looking forward to playing on this court a little bit later. It's you know what it does do though?
Go on.
It makes the coin toss a little bit more interesting, doesn't it? Do you want the light in the first half or the second half? You know, usually we joke that the coin toss is a bit irrelevant, but there is an actual differential in ends now, isn't there? I know last game of the season I did it for Sevenoaks, and the Newcastle fans are adorning the balcony closest to us, and I went, right, okay, you can attack those in the first half, not the second half.
So, looks like we are finally progressing towards kick-off. Our central referee, that of Alan Murray, is assisted by Carolyn Bean and Paul Yates, places the ball in the centre circle. Just trying to understand what is happening over in the GBG Saracens camp.
I can see them furiously working on a chair.
Yeah, that doesn't bode well. So we've already spoken about the fact that they can only field 3 players. One of their players, I believe, is Oscar Smedley, is currently having a very late adaptation to his chair. So as it currently stands, they will be starting the game with just 2 players, which we certainly don't want to see. Oscar Smedley is adorning the black goalkeeper jersey, so
looking at the work they're doing on his chair, it might be them trying to stop his overhang. It just looks like they're working on the backrest. That would be my educated guess.
Yeah, no, that's a fair assessment. This is the thing with teams such as GBG Saracens. This is the first time they've ever competed here at Lee Westwood Sports Centre, our National League venue. This is the first time they're going to get a taste for what the setup is here. They would never have played under National League regulations before, so there's a lot of rules that vary from the regional leagues we have competing across our country. But we can go through the starting team of Nottingham Forest. Certainly in yellow, the designated goalkeeper is number 12, Aston Walls. Currently on the court, they have number 11, Gary Meakin. They have number 26, Ben Rogers, and number 24, Finley Cooper.
God, your eyesight's better than mine. I thought that said 21.
From the angle that we were standing at, on his armrest, it does look like 21. But thank you to everyone that is tuning in. We can see Lucas Veza O'Brien in the comment section. Good to see him watching the action for what will be a competing team again for Manchester City next season. Nottingham Forest, of their 22 games played across the 23-24 campaign, they won 1 and drew 1. They lost 20, so a fairly significant amount of games in which resulted in defeat. But I can say that they did develop, progress, improve across the season. Their single victory came against Manchester City, in which they won 1-0, and their draw against AFC Bournemouth Warriors. So if they are able to come through this game with the win, hopefully they can build on what was a successful season. Whilst they finished last and they lost 20 games, it's a team that's constantly in transition. The influx of players in and out the club has been really challenging for the coaches in years gone by. But if they can just maintain that core of players, and they've got a strong squad, 9 players on their books. I think there's 7 or 8 here present today.
Must be nice.
It's certainly when you've got the stark opposite of GBG Saracens. I think our assistant referee Paul Yates just come over to confirm Greg's theory correct in the fact that Oscar Smedley's chair has a overhang.
Looks all right now though.
It does look as if they have adapted that, so really quick, decisive work from the coaches and support staff of GBG Saracens. And we are set to get underway once again. As you can probably see in the comment section, our administrator Alex Dowding up top has stated about the lighting situation, for which we apologise. As you can see, it's far darker on the far side than the near. But we've got some great action in the comment section. Please feel free to put your suggestions, predictions and more in, and we'll strive to get that out. We can see Isaac Murray and Adam Langley tuning in. Following this one, scheduled for 12:30, might be pushed back slightly depending on the outcome of this game. We have the big one, the Premiership Playoff between Nomad Knights and Norwich City. Only one can secure a spot in the 24-25 Premiership campaign. So Ben Rogers looks like he's readying himself to take the kickoff. Alan Murray just gets the thumbs up from both keeper and blows his whistle. We're underway in the Championship Playoff game. Ben Rogers just fires it straight down the court. 4 players of Nottingham Forest against the 3 of GBG Saracens. Only one can earn a spot in next season's championship. Oscar Smedley, his first involvement, beautiful pass down to Avery Bazin-Ball to put pressure on Aston Walls. The ricochet nearly falls kindly, but it's good early pressure. They have to be decisive. They need to potentially be clinical on the counter-attacks and then look to lock it up in the defensive phases of play. Michael Lydia with the corner kick. Oscar Smedley high up the court, no one in goal. A break for Nottingham Forest will surely lead to a goal. They're looking to get that goal early on as Oscar Smedley attempts the effort, and assured clearance by Ben Rogers.
Good start by GBG Saracens, given they have the man disadvantage.
It's the bravery, isn't it? But if they aren't able to capitalise or register that opening goal, as Avery Basin-Ball has an attempt at goal, well adjusted by Aston Walls, but this is exactly what we want to see. It's a real shame that they haven't got 4 players. Any misplaced passes or attempts at goal will set Gary Meakin and Finlay Cooper away, but a really positive start from the Gloucestershire base side. It's paired with the charity goals beyond grass as Basin-Ball puts it into Oscar Smedley. Slight miscommunication. Didn't want to lock up that bottom right-hand corner and result in a 2-on-1. Avery Basin-Ball not quite quick enough. Rogers into Cooper, back to Aston Walls.
Playing a bit of 4 out. Forest. A little bit there. Referee playing advantage for the 2-on-1.
John Bolden's gone for a 3-0 Forest win. Matthew Stevens a 1-0 win for GBG Saracens. If you're just tuning in, John, they've started to change the light fixtures here at the Lee Westwood Sports Centre, and they've unfortunately only done half of Court B, so it does appear far darker on the far side. 2-on-1 in favour of GBG Saracens. A very open game here in the first 2.5 or so minutes. Carolyn Bean has her flag raised high. Great to see Alan Murray overseeing things in the centre.
Good man is Alan.
Certainly is. So Oscar Smedley has the option of Avery Basin-Ball on that right-hand wing, the left of GBG Saracens. Michael Lydia on the alternate side.
Very spread out here.
Into Michael Lydia. He guides it goal-bound, and Aston Walls has to adjust. It's really positive stuff from GBG Saracens. As Aston Walls has to be really alert there. They're struggling to deal with the 3 players of Saracens so far. Dan McClellan's gone for a 1-0 GBG Saracens, as has Carl Forster. All the predictions coming in today.
Is that a reaction to the start, do you reckon, or are they giving those?
I think it's probably a reaction to the start, for which, if you're just tuning into that, you can see why they're expecting it. There's that miscommunication and that lack of experience as Michael Lydia just drawn into the space, occupied by Basin-Ball.
That free kick earlier, I can see it, watching it, you can see it coming from a mile off, that they just left it to the middleman go out to mark the right and left all the space in the middle for Lydia. They're far too open at the back so far, Forest, and they're the team with 4 players. You're not expecting them to be the team that are too far open at the back.
No, it begs the question, if GBG Saracens did manage to get 2 PF1s through classification, would they adopt this same approach? Owen Swift's gone for the 3-0 GBG Saracens, so...
No, he's definitely reacted to the start.
Again, for the context, for people just tuning in, GBG Saracens with 3 players, Nottingham Forest with a full complement, and many subs on the bench as well. So if they can weather this storm, they will certainly be the favourite on paper.
But you'd have to say, everyone reacting to the start is right to do so. Because, I mean, you can't tell who has 3 and who has 4.
No, you can't. And I just wonder if their game plan is to go for that early goal and then sit back and try and wind the clock down. Ben Rogers has possession in the centre. Lydia closes down Gary Meakin on this left-hand wing.
Is someone going to go in the box and defend with? Doesn't need it in the end, but GBG Saracens, they're really going for it and going, we're going to defend with one.
They're so open, and that will inevitably lead to chances for Nottingham Forest. From what I can see, I think they're just going all out for that opening goal, and then it'll be interesting to see what happens if they're able to do it. Avery Basingbull guides it towards Aston Walls in the Nottingham Forest box. Lydiate has to be careful of his position, and again, he has to react to the players around him. Don't want to be giving away needless 2-on-1s in the circumstances. Oscar Smedley into Lydia. Good work from Gary Meakin, still in play, guides it towards Oscar Smedley, who has to adjust and cover that left-hand post. Out for a corner kick.
I rate this so much from GBG Saracens. They've gone, you know what, we've got 3 players, we're just going to attack. They're defending with 1. They're not sitting back and going, right, we're going to take it to penalty, extra time, penalties. If they're going to win it, they're going to go out and earn it.
Two-on-one signalled by Alan Murray. Very condensed in that box. Smedley with the resulting free kick. Down to Lydia. It's good work from Lydia. They want to keep the ball in the half of Nottingham Forest for as long as possible.
Good territory there, wasn't it? Good kick for territory. Clear the space.
Forest really need to use their National League experience here to overcome what has been a challenging opening 8.5 minutes, as Avery Basingbull once again tries to spearhead an attack for GBG Saracens. Only 8 years old.
I was going to ask how old he is. Deary me.
So fantastic to see, and I think this is the development of the sport and the evolution of the chairs in which the players compete in. It levels the playing field, so no matter what your age, if you're good enough, you can compete at this level. Obviously, dispensation is needed for certain ages, and that will, of course, be applied for this game. And if they are able to progress, they'll have to gain that for Avery Basingbull to compete in next season's championship. But 8 years old would make him the youngest player competing in the National League.
I only started playing at 7 or 8, so the fact he's here playing
exactly.
Playoff just shows the progression of the sport massively, as you say. I think you're right though. Forest need to start using that National League experience. They've got 4 players. They just need to stop trying to dribble and use the spaces there. Just keep 2 wingers wide, have a middleman in, and just play the passes. The space is there for them. Not because GBG Saracens have done anything wrong, but because they have a player less. That's what I'd be saying now, rather than at half-time.
It's a risky move from Aston Walls. It was an indirect free kick, so he could have happily let that roll straight over the line. Trying to engage that ball, Avery Basingbull, who's probably the standout performer on the court so far, closed the space, and the ricochet could have very easily gone inside Aston Walls' right-hand post. It's risky. They look nervous, Nottingham Forest.
Risky. Blackjack's risky. That was ludicrous. Blimey. Yeah, like you said, indirect could have quite happily let it go in. Nearly That ricochet could have gone absolutely anywhere.
So impressed with what I've seen from Avery Basing-Ball so far. Going to get a substitute for Nottingham Forest. I think Finley Cooper was the player coming off. Jack Bosanquet, the player coming on. If we get confirmation of that on your screens now.
Am I right in saying Bosanquet has Premiership experience?
As Avery Basing-Ball attempts an effort at goal, couldn't quite get the angle and/or connection. I think he knocked Ben Rogers' hand.
Whacked him in the leg. Absolutely caught him.
He's really struggling here. Hopefully he can adjust, and once the ball goes out of play, he can get some attention. And well, good officiating from Alan Murray to just stop things. He did get a real whack there, but further danger. And brilliant play from GBG Saracens. The coaches, both here and unable to be here, will be beyond proud with the performance they've produced in the opening 12 minutes. Avery Basing-Ball's getting some fantastic comments in our YouTube stream, and rightly so.
He'll be disappointed he hasn't scored.
He will. He will.
I don't want to say. I know, 8 years old. First, I've got to just take it in the context of the game. He started really well, but I think he will be disappointed he's not.
I think you have to apply that criticism and that constructive feedback, because that's how players of his age adapt and learn and grow. And if you're old enough and you're good enough to compete at this level, you need to apply the same feedback as you would to an 8-year-old as you would a 28-year-old.
So am I right in saying Bosanquet has Premiership experience? Has he played with Nottingham's first team? I remember
off the top of my head, I don't know.
I remember one weekend. I might be.
Potentially. So, Oscar Smedley, indirect free kick, has to go via the chair of an opponent or teammate. Lydia in between Aston Walls and Ben Rogers. Very condensed. Look out for that potential 2-on-1 as it goes towards goal. Ben Rogers clears back into the box. Aston Walls just fires it into the side of Ben Rogers. Well vacated at the last minute from Basing-Ball, which just allowed Oscar Smedley, who has a very important task of restricting that attack for Nottingham Forest as they just break the line. And brilliant adjustment from Oscar Smedley. Would have been a certain chance for Jack Bosanquet high up the court.
Oscar Smedley's doing a fantastic job in that middle. Really is. Doing a fantastic job. There on his own. He's marshalling the attack and the defence supremely well so far. A chance here for Forest. A chance that is really well cleared by Basing-Ball.
I have to say, I was a little bit hesitant considering the circumstances of classification and set up here for this championship playoff. But what a game it's been so far. As Lydia just adjusts, Bosanquet closed down by Basing-Ball. Just seems to be everywhere at the moment.
You and me both. I think when I heard the situation with classification, I thought, well, is that going to potentially ruin the game as a contest? It really hasn't. It's been a fantastic watch so far.
Carolyn Bean has her flag raised. That the attempt from Aston Walls, who was unaware that that was the case, would have wanted to do better there. Whilst the play had stopped, his effort was wide of that right-hand post. And I think it's an indirect free kick for Nottingham Forest in a very dangerous area. Without question, their best opportunity of the game thus far. 15.5 minutes in. This would be really difficult for GBG Saracens to swallow if they are to go 1-0 down.
Just looking at it, what's the plan here? What's the...
Indirect free kick, so it has to go via another chair. there you can see that Lydia and Smedley are just trying to create that space. They have to be aware of Aston Walls, who's just ready to pounce in that box. The angle of this...
Lydia has to be on the pitch as well.
Of course.
Got to make sure he's going to stay on the pitch, because that would be disastrous.
But I fear that this could be the opening goal of the game. Ben Rogers to take.
Meakin in all sorts of space on the far side.
Yeah.
What is going to happen? They're going to go...
Over to Meakin. Brilliant clearance from Lydia.
Really good block. Really good block, that.
Not just that, the fact that it can be driven out of danger onto around the halfway line. This is a chance. Aston Walls cushioned pass into the box. Front bumper pick-off from Gary Meakin. He then guides it over to Aston Walls, and the right decision from Alan Murray to call a 2-on-1. Meakin and Walls too close to one another, not observing the 3 metres needed. And a slight bit of relief and respite for the GBG Saracens defence, who have been on the back foot for the previous 2 or 3 minutes, but probably for the only time this game. That's really nicely adjusted by Lydia, and Ben Rogers is going to let that roll out of play despite Lydia's appeals.
I love the fact he's playing for that.
Optimistic, at least.
Definitely optimistic. Got a claim for it. You never know.
Absolutely.
You never know. Yeah, so Saracens have been under the cosh for the last couple of minutes. Forest just having a bit of play.
It's brave from Smedley there. The ricochet falls kindly for Basing Balls. Had a quieter latter half to this first 20. Again, got to be careful, but he's confident. He knows more than anyone, Oscar Smedley, that there is no players beyond him, and if the ball ricochets past him, it's almost a certain goal for Nottingham Forest, but that doesn't prevent him really engaging with the ball, and the ball rolls just wide of the right-hand post. And I have to say, I know we have 22 or so minutes of football left to be played in this game. Win, draw or lose for GBG Saracens, this is a fantastic foundation for them to build upon.
I think it shows the progression in our sport really well. These are 2 teams, one finished bottom of the championship and one that wants to come into the championship, and they're trying to play football the right way a lot of the time. There's a chance here. Cut out by Walls.
Just want GBG Saracens to be aware here. If it ricochets, I don't want them to be giving away needless 2-on-1s. Oscar Smedley on the edge of the box. 2-on-1 falls in the favour of GBG Saracens. I think Ben Rogers was just drawn out of the box there, and you probably haven't observed this. In the renovations of the Lee Westwood Sports Centre, our court markings are now painted onto the floor. It's not designated by hazard tape, as it has done. So again, shows further progression of our sport, the recognition that we're now got permanent markings on the floor. So we're playing to the red line on the side as Michael Lydia fires it towards goal. It was indirect, so wouldn't have counted had it gone past Aston Walls unopposed. As Meakin just hasn't been able to break past Oscar Smedley so far this game.
It's fantastic to see the markings on the court permanently.
It is, isn't it?
Really good. I did look at it thinking, I thought it was tape originally. I thought it was some orange tape, but the fact it's painted on is fantastic.
It was a pleasant surprise when setting up this morning, as Smedley, just a lapse in concentration there. Didn't put any real purpose on the pass, so the interception from Gary Meakin was almost inevitable. Fortunately for him, well wide, only results in a GBG Saracens kick in. We've had the regulation 20, so now into any additional time. I doubt very much, as Alan Murray looks at his watch and has the whistle in his mouth. Be careful here. They won't want to be given away needless chances this late on in the half. Alan Murray just trying to determine who was the aggressor. Gary Meakin. So very late direct free kick for GBG Saracens. Can they capitalise? and cap off a brilliant first half of football with a 1-0 lead.
There we go.
Oscar Smedley to take into the box. Over to Avery Bazin. Ball has an attempt once again. Can't quite get the angle or the timing to pressure the Nottingham Forest defensive duo of Aston Walls and Ben Rogers. He'll be disappointed, but overall, a fantastic first half of football. Nottingham Forest 0, GBG Saracens 0. Give me your thoughts on that first half, Greg.
Again, the highest compliment I can pay Saracens is, one, you don't know which team's playing with 3 and which team's playing with 4, and 2, you can't tell which team finished bottom of the championship and which team has never played in the championship before either. I've been really impressed with Smedley in the middle.
Massively.
He's trying to play, the passes, commanding at the back. He played a lovely front bumper pick off ball through the defence to Lydiot. With about 5 minutes to go, I thought, he's switched on. He's been taught the right way. They're trying to play football with a more passing style. I think that's what Forest need to do. There's this, I mentioned before, Saracens are playing so attacking. They are leaving so much space for Forest. If they can just pass it, the space is just there naturally, given they've got one less chair in the way.
And I assume that is what's been conveyed at this half-time talk by their coaches. But thank you to all that are tuning in. We've got some really strong numbers in the stream this morning. Once again, we apologise for the lighting issues here at the Lee Westwood Sports Centre, but very much hope you can join myself and Greg Baxter for the second half of this championship playoff very shortly. Hello everyone and welcome back to the second half of this championship playoff between Nottingham Forest and GBG Saracens, where you join myself, Ryan Sipple, and my co-commentator Greg Baxter for the second half. We're very much hoping for more of the same. It was a fantastic first 20 minutes. GBG Saracens probably and fairly the better of the two teams, but they do have that player deficit. Nottingham Forest have changed at the break. We'll bring you that confirmation very shortly, but Alan Murray just readies himself and the teams. You'll see there is no players beyond the 3 players of GBG Saracens in a defensive area, so the same risks present that were in the first half. So Nottingham Forest now have Jack Bossenquet in goal, Aston Walls in the centre. They've brought on Riley Priestley, who's operating on the left, as you're seeing it, the right-hand wing of Nottingham Forest, and they have Ben Rogers on the alternate wing. GBG Saracens, Oscar Smedley, probably the standout player in the first half. In the designated goalkeeper, he played the most defensive role of the three players, and then they've got Michael Liddy at the number 10 and Avery Basin-Ball, the number 6, who had 2 really good opportunities to open the scoring, just couldn't quite get the timing, so but very much hoping for more of the same. Just to clarify, I can see a few comments in the comment section about classification rules. There's a number of factors. Obviously, they were only able to be classified today, and they have only brought 4 players. So it's a risky game to play when you've got players up for classification, players that have never been classified before, so you don't know their level of disability. So it's a challenging one. They would have hoped to bring more players than they did. Their coach Kai Shah is also not present, so we have to give them full credit that despite all of them barriers and them challenges, they're putting on a really good show, and the better of the 2 teams so far. As they resume the pressure, as Avery Basin-Ball fires it into the right-hand post. From our angle, it looked almost a certain goal. Aston Walls just goes back to sweep it up.
That was nearly an own goal. Priestley looked very nervously round at his coach then. I think Priestley's just got away with one massively. Trying to get back and block Basin-Ball, and he's ended up crashing it in off his own post.
Absolutely. But
it did look like it was going to roll in, didn't it, from our angle?
They've started the second as they ended the first with some real attacking intent. Apologies that the graphics were just faltering. Our heart's racing.
The adrenaline. It's been a really good watch so far.
It really has. This is when GBG Saracens have to be alert. Ricochet falls towards Oscar Smedley, but Alan Murray had blown the whistle prior.
Double touch and kick in. Must admit, I've been rather disappointed with Forest. It's just not got going at all.
No, I think they'll be really disappointed as Michael Lydia attempts another effort on goal, cleared by Aston Walls. And now is the chance here. Ben Rogers guides it goal bound. There's nothing that Oscar Smedley can do to prevent it. That's always the danger with the system in which they were adopting. And curse of the commentator as Ben Rogers, after 23 or so minutes, opens the scoring.
I'd like to formally apologise to everyone associated with GBG Saracens. I've opened my big gob, and as soon as I did that, they get the breakaway goal.
Yeah, bitterly unlucky for GBG Saracens. Really hoping that that doesn't affect their confidence as they seek an equaliser. If they keep playing the way they have, they will have further chances. They just want to ensure that Nottingham Forest aren't able to double their advantage or beyond in the next 15 or so minutes.
I thought the way, because he decided to turn and drive at it, I thought he was just going to go away from him. He just got a sort of front end to the bumper and just sort of almost toe poked it.
Well, look at the system now. Oscar Smedley taking the set pieces. Forest with 2 players in the GBG Saracens half, certainly at the time of that corner taking place. Riley Priestley. It's unfortunate for the Forest number 18. He rushed it, went straight out of play, so Oscar Smedley now has responsibility. Avery Basin-Ball always lurking at that back post. He'll want to ensure that if the ball is able to find him, he alters his connection and timing.
Lydiate needs to drop a little bit, and he can flick it to Basing Ball. And not going to force it through the gap, I think, with the angle. You've got to try and play around the wall rather than playing through it. The pressure is all on GBG Saracens now. That's twice in a row. Previously, he's taken a kick in and hit it straight out to play.
So Michael Lydiate to take. It's a lot more congested than it was in the first half. I think Nottingham Forest are just building their defensive structure following that 1-goal lead. Riley Priestley showing signs of frustration. I think he wanted that to be guided up the court, not back for a GBG Saracens corner. Once again, Michael Lydiate, the number 10, to take.
It's just too far in front of him, I think, the ball there. Was on the front end of his bumper. Smedley couldn't really do anything other than hit it straight back to Lydiate.
No, but he's locked it up nicely here.
Hit a quick play, maybe from Forest. Yeah.
Keep an eye on Riley Priestley. I think Ben Rogers is looking for that diagonal ball. Aston Walls potentially was going to act as the screen, but now takes position on the top left of Nottingham Forest. Ben Rogers couldn't quite get the angle.
If Walls is going to go down the line, he's got to go on the line. He can't sit right on Smedley because he's got no space or anything with the ball, otherwise if it gets to him.
Very congested, a 2-on-1 surely. The advantage played by Alan Murray. Riley Priestley with possession. Aston Walls are going to attempt an effort at goal. Good clearance by Basing Ball, I think. Alan Murray had blown his whistle prior to that attempt.
He's given a 2-on-1, I think, in favour of Forest.
Really? No, he can't have, because he would have played advantage.
He has. Which is, he's very fortunate that hasn't gone in from Aston Walls.
So we've had a substitute for GBG Saracens. It is Avery Basing Ball, the player that's come off. Connor Boswell has come on. So Ben Rogers with responsibility of this indirect free kick.
No guesses for where this one's going.
Aston Walls is waiting on that far side. Probably a front bumper pick-off to be utilised. Well cleared by Lydiate. Strong contact from Lydiate. Advantage played in favour of Forest. And very kind ricochet as Connor Boswell, for his first involvement of this championship playoff, just results in the ball rolling out of play. Very frustrating. Really good opportunity there. But when you're introduced to the game, sometimes it takes a little bit of time to embed yourself, growing confidence and momentum, and unfortunately Boswell didn't quite have either. "70 people tuning in to this championship playoff, scheduled for 12:30. We have the Premiership playoff between Nomad Knights and Norwich City. Join myself and Greg for that one as well. But here, Nottingham Forest lead GBG Saracens by 1-0, and if they can see out the remaining 10-11 minutes, as Oscar Smedley has to ensure that doesn't roll all the way over the goal, Nottingham Forest will retain status in the championship. Aston Walls continues to pressure. He's going to try and force the ball over the line. Brilliantly adjusted by Oscar Smedley. Looked almost a certain second for Nottingham Forest. The danger still present, very congested, and Oscar Smedley clears it well. Would have wanted a little bit more angle to get it up the court. It still remains in their half, but fantastic defensive display. And I have to admit that these are championship quality players for GBG Saracens. And if they had 4 players, they would almost certainly be more into this game than they currently are.
I've been so impressed with Oscar Smedley. And I must admit, I thought he was fouled in the build-up to that goal. The chance there on the line. He certainly thought he was. But he's done so well again here, look. And a brilliant ball. Just not quite enough pace on it to get past Rogers.
He's clearly the best player on the court, without question.
Yes.
He's a National League quality player. And it will be really unfortunate for him and his teammates if they're unable to reverse this result. He may have to wait a little bit more.
Oh, I mean, if there's any clubs at the bottom, around the bottom.
I think he'll have a few phone calls, but I really hope that he can build and grow in confidence in this GBG Saracens team. The game is far from over. We have 9 minutes. The clock displayed on your screens is 2 minutes behind. They still have the opportunity to find that equaliser. Smedley fires it towards goal, and it ricochets it via Connor Boswell into Jack Bosanquet, who has to make his first real save of the game. Best opportunity for Saracens in the second half. Good work from Lydia to just dispossess Aston Walls. Connor Boswell on the left-hand wing as you're viewing it, as he guides it into the box. Jack Bosanquet covers the right-hand post. Much better from GBG Saracens, who just have struggled since that opening goal from Ben Rogers.
Lydia's done so well there.
All of the players for GBG Saracens.
They're definitely not out of this yet.
Ben Rogers once again is going to have an attempt from our angle, just trying to determine if that can be guided. Goal ban, that's really well kept in by Ben Rogers, and Lydia fantastically covers. What a game this is.
You've read my mind. What a game of power football this is. He's almost done too much. He's kept the ball. I thought the ball, there was no chance he was keeping that in. But he's kept it in almost to the point where he's got round it too much, and it's allowed Lydia, who's made a great recovery run. This is brilliant. This is end-to-end power football. No pressure on the Premiership playoff game. They've got a lot to beat.
Absolutely they do. Ben Rogers, the goal scorer, with responsibility of this kick-in. Riley Priestley, the closest of the 3 supporting players. Into Priestley, tries to guide it back to Aston Walls, and now if Connor Boswell can get round the right-hand side of the ball, could have prevented Aston Walls from engaging. Didn't quite have the reaction needed. Out of play for a GBG Saracens ball. John Bolden wants us to tell Oscar Smedley that Aspire are having trials soon.
There you go.
Our Champions Cup winners, European winners, obviously, for all unaware, this evening at Leicester City's King Power Stadium, we will host our end of season awards, for which we will, of course, recognise Aspire's monumental, historical achievement, where they beat Upsilon in the Champions Cup final in Paris to become the first English side to lift the European Cup.
Do we get the intermediary fee, the scouting fee from John for organising a transfer? Do we get a small payment?
A referral fee.
Do we get a small referral fee? Do we?
No, I want Oscar Smedley to remain at GBG Saracens. I want to get that out there straight away.
Yeah, I'm not advocating he does leave. I'm sure he'll have a few offers with teams watching this.
I just wonder where they're based geographically, if they can access maybe the West Midlands Regional League or more competitive regional leagues if they're unable to secure National League status, because just from what I've seen of their players, I won't want them to rest on their laurels after this. I want them to continue to develop, and if they are to express an interest to become a team next season, that they're even better prepared than they have been today.
I came into this game having not watched a single minute of GBG Saracens football. I don't know if you have had it. No.
Not collectively or any of their players individually either.
I did not know what to expect. I've been so thoroughly impressed with each and every single one of them. Especially Avery, he's only 8. It's ridiculous. And Lydia's done so well. He just has a way of keeping the ball in so very well.
We've raved about Oscar Smedley and Basin Ball. Lydiate deserves the absolute same credit. It would surely be more than a 1-0 lead to Nottingham Forest if it wasn't for the Saracens number 10. They're going to have to be alert here as Ben Rogers guides it towards Aston Walls. Pick off into the box. Riley Priestley looking to engage in a potential break on for GBG Saracens. Lydiate just hesitated slightly, so Riley Priestley regains possession. Good work from Priestley, weaving round Lydiate. Oscar Smedley does what he's been doing all game, just locks it up, prevents further damage, has to be aware of Ben Rogers' placement, and Riley Priestley so frustrated with that as Smedley spearheads the counter-attack. He's going to go just wide of the right-hand post. Riley Priestley is absolutely fuming. There was probably about 30 centimetres in between him and Ben Rogers during that phase of play.
They then parted like Moses in the Red Sea. And then he completely forgot there's a game still going on.
Yeah.
He was busy fuming at his coach. Meanwhile, Oscar Smedley was on a counter-attack down the pitch.
Yeah, they're going to have to control them emotions. They've got just under 4 minutes left to be played in this championship playoff. They have 1 foot in the 24-25 championship campaign, and Riley Priestley looks visibly frustrated, and that is showing in his actions. We're going to get a substitute, and Riley Priestley is going to be brought off. He does not look happy in the slightest. It's going to be a reverse of the change we saw at half-time, so Gary Meakin re-enters the court. It's probably the correct decision from Nottingham Forest. You don't want him to make any rash decisions when emotions run so high.
Now bring on the captain, experienced head. They just need now cool, calm and collected. They've got 3 minutes left. They know they've been in one heck of a game. They've not been at their best. They'll expect a lot more. But if they get over the line, they won't care.
No, they won't. And I said it at the start that if Nottingham Forest are able to come through this game and secure championship status for next season, they've got a foundation to build upon. The consistency of squad and team players, something they've struggled with in recent years. A lot of transitioning in and out the teams. I know some of their key players, Leighton G to mention one, was promoted to their Premiership side, Nottinghamshire PFC, as Aston Walls attempts an effort and an assured brilliant clearance from Oscar Smedley. Had Michael Lydiate been a little more advanced, he could have capitalised, but I don't think even us as commentators could have foreseen that action from Oscar Smedley, considering the circumstances and the pressure applied by Aston Walls.
It's a brilliant pass.
Really
it's a fantastic pass.
It's probably going to let that roll out of play. Time is not on their side. They have less than 2 minutes to find an equaliser. But even if they're unable to do so, I hope everyone watching will join myself, Greg, and everyone here at the Lee Westwood Sports Centre in giving them a round of applause, because what a show they've put on with just 3 players against an established championship side. I'm sure Kai Shah, Brian Dix and others watching from afar will be beyond proud of their team.
I think it's one of those, isn't it? I think Forest can get the job done. I feel like Saracens' coach would be much happier. I can see more frustration on the Forest side than I can the Saracens side. Obviously, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how well you play. I mean, this is what we said about England in the Euros, isn't it? It doesn't matter how well you play. It's am I getting the result at the end of the day, isn't it? And Forest look like they're going to get it done.
Exactly that. Just ricochets off Michael Lydiate's chair. Very late kick in here. Please ignore the scoreboard timer on your screens. We have just 20 seconds remaining, plus any additional time that Alan Murray has amassed in this second half. Can we see a late break? Oscar Smedley trying to battle his way past Aston Walls. 2-on-1 awarded to GBG Saracens, so can have a late indirect free kick. We've ticked into additional time. This surely the last opportunity for them to find an equaliser. Smedley to take, Boswell on the left as you're viewing it, Lydia on the right. They have to be careful of placement. It's fired in between the chairs, it ricochets. Almost an equaliser at the death. Jack Bosanquet and Aston Walls adjust brilliantly, and that will be the last action of the game. A huge round of applause from everyone here at the Lee Westwood Sports Centre. What a fantastic game of football. Huge commiserations to GBG Saracens. Please do not be deterred by this. Go back, build on this as an incredible foundation. And from what I've seen in that 40-minute fixture, you deserve to be a National League team.
I couldn't say it any better. Watch the game back, learn from it. You'll be back. You will be back, without a doubt. Because that was really well played. Really, really well played. They've taken Forest. They've had a player less for 40 minutes. And they've made it so very even. I really hope they aren't too disappointed by this at all.
No, I don't think they will be. Absolutely incredible from GBG Saracens. Every one of their 4 players deserves every bit of credit. And hopefully we will see you competing in the National League in years to come. Must be said, though, well done to Forest, because they are the team that have got the victory. You know, they took the chance, the breakaway when it was there. They will be the team competing in the 24-25 PTC Therapeutics Championship next year. Forest will know from the games in which I've commentated them, certainly across the 23-24 campaign, that I'm a big fan. I saw them progress, develop and improve across the 5 weekends. And that was a challenging game for them, a very challenging game. They've come through adversity. They need to just channel that now. They need to use that as the inspiration to move forward, and hopefully next season they can build on what they've achieved this season. But yeah, absolutely echo what you say. Huge congratulations to Nottingham Forest and commiserations to GBG Saracens. Thank you to all that have joined myself and Greg for this one. We'll be back in about 20 minutes time to preview and bring commentary of the Premiership Playoff between Nomad Knights and Norwich City.